Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A CloudFoundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Today we are going to talk about the data pages. Finally, and it is a very kind of a big topic. Let's see how much we'll complete in the today's session. Otherwise, the hands-on part we'll see tomorrow. Cool. Any doubt with respect to the previous session or anything? You want to ask if you did your analysis or anything? No. Alright, then we can directly jump on to the data pages. First, we'll start with the basic definition. What exactly a data page is? Data page basically is a kind of a page that holds the data. How data pages work. I have designed this flow diagram. Let's understand through this way. Suppose you have a PEGA application and we are using Postgres SQL server. Now we have one more Excel server, that is the Amazon AWS. And you have an e-commerce website where you want the products, but those products were listed on the Amazon AWS server. And this is the table where exactly those details were mentioned. For example, PR1 is for electronics, PR2 is for clothing. Every time you will send a request, Amazon AWS will provide you a response. Right. This is kind of a two-way communication. You send a request, Amazon will provide a response with this data. And then you will consume the data in your PEGA application. Further and further process. But there is one drawback for this approach. If you see, every time I have to make a call to the Amazon, even for a single entry, suppose I only want to just get the information, but say I want to make a query, right? I'll make a query, then Amazon will give me a response. It is a working method, but it is not that efficient. In this place, data pages will come into the picture. Now, once we introduce data page in between, what will happen? In your PEGA application, we will introduce a data page. Now, data page uses a connector to connect to the Amazon AWS. Now, you will send the data request to data pages. Data pages will connect to Amazon AWS through integration and get the data, and it will store the data. It will store the data in data page. That means it will cache it. And whenever PEGA application needs it, PEGA application don't have to point to the Amazon again. It can directly access through data pages. This particular process is gone now. This part is not there. This part will be only applicable if there is a new data or if you want to refresh the data. Till the time, you can only access through data pages. This part is clear. This is kind of a main functionality. That's why we used to say data page is a kind of a page which holds the data. Now, this holds the data from multiple sources. It can either be from external server where we can connect with integration connector from any internal table. Different case from different data type. Just if you want to reduce that query, then we use the data pages. Now in data pages, we have mainly 5 terms. Today is kind of your learning session where you have to remember things. For example, we have one thing called structure. Then we have mode. Then we have scope. Then there are some data page sources and load management strategies. This part even you don't remember. That's completely fine. Let's first talk about the structure. Till now, we are talking much about page list. Same thing will be applicable here. We can create 2 types of data pages. One is a page data page. Second one is page list data page. In a page data page, we can only hold a single customer data or an attribute collection. For example, address home, that is a page data. If you will create a data page of page structure, it can only hold a single record. Let me check if I can show you. I think you haven't seen this architectural diagram there, right? No, I'm not. Now maybe I can repeat that part. You will be able to read it more. This is a PEGA application. PEGA application is using a PostgreSQL database. We are creating an e-commerce website on our PEGA application. But we need the product detail. Product details were already maintained in external server, that is Amazon AWS. This is the table product codes where we are maintaining those IDs. Electronics, PR Clove. Now in a PEGA application, you want to access these details. First is, we can create an integration connection between PEGA application and Amazon AWS. And then you can send a request. Amazon will provide you a response. Again, if you need more data, you can send a request. Amazon will provide a response. This is a working approach, but it is not efficient because every time you need something, you have to make a query. It is fine but not the best. If we introduce data page in between, then what will happen? You will first connect to a database because it is an application level rule. No external authentication, external nothing is required. It's just a lone call, that's it. You will point to the database. A data page first connect with the integration. It will fetch all the table information and it stores inside the page. Now, whenever you need anything, you can directly fetch it from the application. You don't have to send a request to the external server and then wait for the response and then process the data. It's like you can directly use it at any point of time. This is kind of functioning of database. Now maybe you are able to relate it more. After this one, I was talking about these 3 things that you have to remember. What is in the data page? The data, is it persisted in the Postgres or it's just in the clipboard? It's cached, it's not persisted in the database, right? It isn't clipboard. It is a kind of a temporary page for you to use the data. But what about in a case where it's a very large data? Wouldn't that make the RAM, for instance, or would that not make PEGA run slow? If you see the temporary data pages used to refresh after one time. The database. This we will cover here in the scope part. If you see the table as memory, the database has memory and clipboard. In PEGA, we call it as a blob. That is, a binary large object which has the maximum memory in our database, somewhere around 5 TBs. and the rest of the table will have the dedicated size as per the table, which is very less. Because whatever you are doing in your PEGA application, like opening the case, closing the case, running the things, those will happen on the blob. By default, blob size is very high. Even database just hold the data because it's a temporary thing. It might not be there after some time. It will also hold the data in the blob. You can go literally 10,000 records. That's completely fine. Database will hold it temporarily for some time. That's not an issue. Once you've done the processing, the database will be removed. Cool. Now databases, we have these 5 terms which are very important. This you have to kind of remember. Structure mode, scope, database sources, and load management strategies. Now structure we are talking about in every class, I would say. First is page, another one is page list. Maybe this time, Francis, you give me the definition of both of them. What exactly is a page and what exactly is a page list as per your understanding? Page, for instance, basically holds one instance. Overall, a wide page list can be a collection of pages, basically. Correct. Correct. Perfect. You understood the structure also then because you know what is a page, what is a page list, the same with the structure. That means if you want to hold the data of a single instance in the temporary clipboard, then you have to click create a page database. But if you want to store a list of data, list of instances, then you have to create a page list database. Now let's talk about the modes. Database is a 3 kind of mode: read-only, editable, and savable. Suppose when you want to show the data, like display the data, or you want to refer it someone with the intention that it won't be modified at any point of time. That means it is a read-only. For example, I'll take example of our watch list. Yesterday's example, fraud watch list. We created a data type. I'll add one thing here. Let's say this is our fraud watch list. Now in PG application itself, only we have this fraud watch list. I introduce one data page which is connected to fraud watch list. Now what will happen? Data page will access the data type and it will get the data and it will store into the database. And then I'll show this database information to my screen. But because I created this of the read only, that means I won't be able to modify anything which is inside the data type. This is what read-only databases do. Basically, they serve the purpose for display, for referring, and for user reviews. And you can see these information inside the database category. Now database category, as in if I open the clipboard, you have this data pages. All those read-only databases will be inside these 3 categories as per the scope. I'll delete this one. I'll keep it like this for another example. Let's see editable now. Then we load the data and we have to update the data. That means you accessed and you fetch the fraud watch list and you store temporarily in the data page. But now you feel like you want to add more records, right? You want to modify the existing record. Then you have to create the editable data page. That means you are only modifying the data page information, not the data type information. This is our source. With the editable, you can only modify the data pages data. With the saleable, you can first modify the data page information and then you can make a commit on this data page that these changes will be applied to the database or the data type. Right? Three things are there. If you want to only read the data, you have to create a read-only mode. If you want to edit and modify the data of the data page, then you have to go for the editable. But at the same time, you want to make the same changes or you want to commit to the database, then you have to go for the saleable. Makes sense? Or you are confused? No, it makes sense. Because if you understood all these things right, data page is done. That's it. Because data page is all about how you will think, which kind of data page you have to create, what kind of data source you have to apply. Because the business requirement will be like, we have this external server, we have to fetch the data into a PEGA application and we have to show into the PEGA case. If you know that what is a read-only, what is editable, what is savable, then you will be able to make a call. What structure should I select in the data page? Which methods should I select? Which mode should I select? That's the purpose. Now, if you are good with this, then we can move further scope. PEGA provides three kinds of scope. That is a thread, requester, and node. Thread is when you open any case. That means it should open each thread. Let me show you how we can suppose I open this one. I open this case and if I go to clipboard, you see we have a thread here that is I1311. And if I want to switch the thread, I can click on this icon and I can select some other thread. Till now I have only one case ID here. Now let's open one more case. Let's say this one. Now that means I have two threads. Now I'll go here. I need to open the clipboard again. The data is refreshed. You see, this time I1322 is coming. Again, it's a thread because thread is a single case. If I want to jump onto the previous case into the clipboard, I can click. I can select 0, 0, 1. Thread. Basically, you can understand through the cases. One case, that means one thread. That means if you create a data page of type thread, that means the data page will execute for every case. Because if you switch the case, your thread will change. Whenever thread changes, the data page will get refreshed. That means it will reload the data from the database or the data type. Because if you see, here we are just loading it once. But suppose I loaded this for the first time and there is a change happened in the Amazon server, but I lose the data array. If I won't refresh it, if I won't check it again. For thread level, we will refresh the data page and connect once again to the Amazon AWS in every case processing. Now we have a requester. Now, who is the requester? Basically, this is the person who is accessing the particular application. Suppose if I am working on this particular requester, if you log in with your ID, You are a requester. All the threads of a particular requester will have a same data page. That means this time it doesn't matter whether you open this one or n number of cases or you do anything. The data page call will happen only once. Because you have created a requester type data page. One requester, one database call. Now third one, that is a node. Till now there is a relationship. One thread is one case. Requester is the person who is working on the application, a single user who logged into that big application. Then node. Node. Basically, if you know the concept of load balancer, you can say when 1,000 people are working on application, right? What load balancer used to do? They will pick some of the user, assign it to a node. Pick some of the user, assign it to a different node. That speed and backend data and the capacity is pending. Otherwise, it will break the server. All the requester within the node. Suppose this is a node, I will create one here. This is a node and this particular node has 10,000 in users. This is node A. And I'll create one more. This is node B. This one has 5,000 users. If you create a node level data page, then the data page will be executed 2 times. One for this particular node, one for this particular node. Suppose that these 10,000 users have their own IDs. Suppose this is the first user. Then requester data page will execute for each requester. One for this. Similarly, we will execute 1,000 times for 10,000 users. And thread is suppose this guy will open 10 cases. Then how it will work? 10 cases. That means 10 data page execution of thread type, 1 data page execution of requester type over the node and 1 data page execution of node type. Any doubt in this one? Now we can take example. For example, what kind of things we have to keep inside node or what kind of things we have to keep inside requester and thread. For example, a website title. It really doesn't matter whether you will access, I'll access or any other person will access. Website title will always be remain same. Suppose a website title, icon, image address or any other data which will be same across the organization, across the applications. Then we will keep those changes inside the node level data page that we can only execute once and it will be same for everyone. Second request, that is, let's say your authentication detail, your ID and your password. This should be maintained at the requester level. Because your ID and password will be same for all your cases, for all kinds of a rule configuration. It's not like for data pages, it will be different for data transform. It will change. Node, it will be same. Your request, detail will be of type requested data page. Now threaded that you can understand in a way when we create a case. Suppose if you want to fetch first name and last name from the database, because first name and last name will differ as per different cases. Then we have to go for the thread level. Very simple example. Now till now these things we have covered: structure, page, list, mode, read, only, editable, savable and scope node, request a thread. And this is the kind of a topic where most of the interview questions will also be asked. What is the same building page? What is editable? What is the difference between both of them, and why to create a node request, or any example for any of them like that? Cool, let's move ahead on the data sources. Till now we have only talking about what data page is, but data page is all about data. That means we have to give some source that it can connect to that particular point and get the data for us and store it onto the place. These are the different sources through which data page deals. First is the lookup. Lookup is in the primary key. You can give any class name. You can pass the primary key and then it will fetch the record and it will hold into the clipboard. Second is report definition. You can ignore this for now because this will be a separate lecture completely like a data page. Similarly, we have one more session for the report definition. Then we have connector. Connector as in, if you want to use some authentication and integration wise, you want to connect to an external system. Then you will use connector. Third is activity. It is an advanced topic. We will see. We'll try to cover it in the end. You can ignore this for now. And then data transform is there. Data transform, you already understood. And then aggregate sources as in, you can combine these multiple sources. Suppose some of the data you are getting from the table, then you and some of the data you're getting from the connector, and then you're combining with your business logic. And then you're storing into a data page. This is aggregate sources where you will combine the different data pages. All clear, Francis, till now? Or it's too much information for today? No, I think it's. Then we have some load management strategies. Now, because we are loading the data page for the first time and then we are not checking it again, there might be updated data. It might be refreshed. We have some control over there. Load management strategies, 3 options. We have forces reload once per interaction. That means whenever PEGA application will access this data page, it will refresh it. That means it will again get the data from that system. If I make a call first, data page will go to that source, get the data, then give it to me in the next call. Again, it will go to the database, get the data and then give it to me. That means it will reload once per interaction. Next is do not reload. Then this means if there is any business requirement that you don't want to refresh it, then you can give them in condition. It will be in an expression form like we did in the last time, like .age is greater than 18 or when .home address is true. Like that this will work. You can control the reload with respect to a when, condition or expression. Now, if you want to reload it after some time, let's say after 1 hour, 2 hour, 24 hour, 1 day, 7 days, 1 month. We have third option where we can give the timelines that after every day or every weekend in the non-working hours, refresh the data that once the business will log in on the Monday, they'll have the updated records. Like that, load management strategies will work. Now, how can we refer data pages? These are some options where we can refer, like we can refer in the UI controls, like we have drop downs, we have radio button, we have auto, complete. then in table, in sections. And there are some non-UI rules also, like a data transform or an activity and some auto-populated properties. A lot of theory part is there. Now let's move on to the PEGA screen. Alright, let me first go to that watch list. I'll open this one. Yesterday I showed you that when I created this fraud, what is for the first time, there was no database here. It was empty, but when I created the local source and when we added the records, we have these data pages. That means by default, whenever you create a data type, PEGA will create 3 data pages for you. And the naming convention will always be same. One will be of the data type name. That means D underscore whatever the data type name is. Second will be D underscore data type name and list. Second, third will be D underscore data type name and savable. Let's open one by one D underscore fraud watch list. Now I'll bring this part also. Now, if you see in the data page definition, we have a structure. This particular data pages is of type page. That means it will hold a single customer or a single attribute. Now, this is the class because we have created this data type in this class. It will hold the record of this particular class. Mode is read only. See, we have 3 options: read only, editable, savable. But we only need to retrieve the records for the review purpose. Read only selected. Now the scope thread level. If I make it a request level, it also is fine because we are just showing it for the review purpose. It won't make any difference. If you come down there, we have the data sources. I click on the source drop-down. We have these 5 options. Connector is there, data transform, report, definition, lookup activity, robotic automation and robotic desktop automation is for the RPLL. We can ignore these 2 options and aggregate our sources as we have discussed that it will be a collection of different sources. Let's say by default for page data, page lookup will be there. One class is mentioned, which is this class. Let's open this class. I'll go to sysadmin. I'll open the class definition. Now you see this particular class has a key called customer ID. That means if I will pass customer ID as a parameter, then it will give me that individual record because it is a page. It will not give me a list. That's why parameter is provided by default. If I click on parameters, why can't you? One parameter is already defined here. Param customer. Suppose instead of this one, if I pass like this A1, that means it will give me the record which has a key A1 because A1 points to class key. Now I'll put that here that it will be dynamic in nature. I'll submit this. There we can declare these parameters in the parameters tab. If you see, Vega created one parameter for us which is of type string. Now let's see. I'll open this data type, go to records. Let's suppose I want to get the record for A1. I'll run this. Now it is asking for the parameter. It is a mandatory parameter because it is of page type. I'll click on Run. It is saying no database. Let me remove this one. You see, when I passed A1, we got customered as A1, fraud type invalid DOM, which is same. Invalid DOM. Let's say A2. Or I'll simply update here. This data you see in the results. It will temporarily store everything and it will be available inside the clipboard. If I go to clipboard, let's see D_watch list. Right? D_fraud watch list. You see, this data page is available. Now if I run for A2, now customered, we got A2 fraud type as fake profile. Now let's go to clipboard again. Because it is our thread level, it will be inside thread. This time you see D_fraud watch list. Customer A2 is passed and this data is there. I can access it at any point of time in any case because it is already there in my clipboard. If you see one option, is there flush all instances? That means you want to remove everything, every execution detail from the clipboard. There, we will set this option. And close this thing, close this one. This is about our PEGA data page. Now let's talk about the list data page. Here, one thing is there only to note that for single record data page, parameter is mandatory for list. It is not mandatory. Now let's see this one. This is of type list. Class is same because we are operating on that same records. Mode is still read-only. Scope is thread. Now this time the data sources report definition will not touch this one for now. You can assume this is a kind of a get query like SQL statement. Select star from table. And that means you are returning everything which is there inside that particular table. No parameters there. Let's run this one then. No parameter is there and it will retrieve the whole list. If you say here px result count how many? If you come down, you have to see this px results. Expand P3. We have A1 invalid dot. Expand second one. We have A2 pick profile. It's a out-of-the-box structure that whenever you run on the page, every time it will come in this format. There will be a property of result count which will show the number of records and the actual result. You will see inside the px results. The sort of one, the results of 2. Like this, if we have 3 rows, then 3 will come. For example, if I go here, I'll add one more record here. A3 invalid of. Let's come to fraud watch list. Let me show you with this normal one first. I'll pass A3. You see, because it's a base, we don't have to go for the PX result. Because it's directly over the top. We can see A3 invalid dot. Now let me run this data page of type list. You see, this time it is showing me only 2. Because it is not reloading it, even though I have updated, but it is not reloading. I have to flush this one. Once I'll flush, it will re-update the database data. It means result count is 3. Now expand this one. 1, 2 and 3. This is the new one which we created, A3. Francis, any doubt? Is it fine or still confusing? Oh, it's getting rough a little bit now. This is because there's something new, right? You're seeing for the first year. But if you are clear about these terms, what is page read? Only threat, you will be able to understand more. You can understand that. Let me pull up that structure again. We are just preparing this database as of now. We are linking with this. Suppose here we are talking about the external server, but it can be a data type 2. That means I'm simply fetching the data from fraud, which list and story on this temporary database that later on I can use it for my application. I'm showing you how the data pages will be executed and it stored the results. This is a data page. That means I'll make this more smaller. This database is this configuration. This fraud watch list is this data type. This one. Now, this database is of type this particular class. That means this class is updated type. This is the kind of a link happened between both of them because it is a read only. If I will execute, if I run this and if I pass any parameter because it is a type page, it will go to that data type, get the record and showing me here. That means now my data is there on this data page. This is the actual meaning. Now I can now use it from application also that we will see. Let's jump on to that part. Let's go to case type then. Let's go to case type insurance. Did check because personal details anyways is not working properly. No, let's go for insurance data. I think that was working. Let me add one dynamic layout at the top. You have to simply click on that and drag and drop. You have to drag it and it will be added. Now I'll add one more. It is a table. Now this is a kind of a structure. We have a header, we have a footer area, and then we have the column area where we have to give a source and we have to give the column names what they want to display. I'll open the stable properties. If you see, you can ignore these things and come to this data source. Right now property selected, but I can select data page. Now what is the database name? because we have to show the whole list. Then I'll use this one, the underscore fraud watch list. I'll copy this one, put insurance detail and pass this. I'll drop down. Once you see values there, I will select and I'll submit. I configured the source into my table. Even the name is coming. Data pages the underscore fraud watch list. List results list of this class. Now I'll add the column name. Let me add this one value is customer name. This is a kind of a label. Let me show into the table. Now I click on this small dot. Right click and insert one more column on the right side. Again, I'll add one more label here. That is fraud type. Now I'll give the properties for both of them. For customer ID, it will be customer ID. For fraud type, it will be fraud type. Now save it. Let's create one case. Let's reload once properly. Insurance. See, this is pre-implemented yesterday when we are not able to fetch anything because we have not configured the source, because this time we did. Let's verify. Sub. You see valid doc. A2, A3 profile. A3 invalid doc. We are accessing it through our data page. That means we linked our data page through the data type. And when we created the case data page, executed it went to the data type, get the records stored into the data page. And then we are showing through the data page. And we have this option add item delete. If I add item, you see nothing is happening because it is of type read only. And when we discuss, if it is read only, we can't add anything. But if it is of type editable, then we can add. If it is type of savable, then we can add that record into a data page. But at the same time, I can add that record here in the data type because this is a kind of a source for us. This is a database for us as per this current scenario. This is how it will work. Now suppose this is A1, right? Let's do one more thing. I'll make it more dynamic. Insurance trading. This time I will select because this is of type list. It doesn't need any parameter and it will show everything. But suppose if I want to make it dynamic in nature and I want to retrieve the record for that particular customer, let's select data page of type normal list, but it is a table. I think it will not accept the list. But what we can do is we can make some parameter inside this page itself. Let's say here I'll make parameter as customer. Of type string. I'll save it once. Then I'll come here. This, I'm making changes for testing, but you don't stress too much on this part because this will cover tomorrow. Now if I run this again, it will ask for customer. I'll try once if it is working. It will give me result. One result is coming. Now let's make it more dynamic. Where is our section? In the table, if I refresh this, if I reselect, it will ask for parameter. Now this time I'll select 1 second. Customer ID, which property it is. Dot customer ID. I'll select dot customer. This property is not coming. I can select. Let's say I'll create one. Customer. I'll create this property. Insert insurance class. Save it. Customer. Submit. And save. Now I'll go to the case type. I'll add my new property, which I created in the personality section. Configure view. I'll go to fields. Let customer ID. Customer ID is not coming here. It's not getting refreshed. And we can create through the section itself. One second. Let me create one case. There it is. We can use name piece. Configure view. Let's use first name. I will pass inside this now as a filter. First name. Let's create one case and see if this will work. Where is first name? I'll pass A1 here. Sub. You see only A1 record is coming. Because in the initial screen, we have passed A1 into a property which is our first name. Now in the second stage, inside this table, we are using a data page where we are passing same value as a parameter, as a filter. Here, it is like select star from table where first name is equal to A1, like SQL query. That A1 is coming to this and then it is running the data page. It will only retrieve one record because in the data type we have only one row with A1. If I create another case and let's suppose this time I'll pass A2. Now what will happen? It will submit it, but it will be like select star from fraud watch list where first name is equal to A2. Only one record will come. A data is coming. You are able to get me right. Now I feel like it is too much information for that day. I think it would be good for today. And we are up to the time also, but I hope you had a good understanding on the data pages. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.